everybody laughed. Mrs. Wang said, "You just called me a mouse." 小猫宝宝们，你好 Hi Panda Cubs. So firstly, I apologize for this story time coming to you not on Friday, as you will have noticed. So I've been pretty sick the past couple of days, and I just got my normal speaking voice back. Today's story is coming to you on hopefully a Monday when I am finished editing this. So today's story is Norman, Speak by Caroline Adderson. So Norman, Speak. And you'll notice I didn't translate the title because this book today is actually going to be read mostly in English, and there is a reason for that. But not to worry, this book is very much still within our Mandarin Storytime theme. Let's see what this is about. We went to the animal shelter. So many kinds of dogs were there. Brown, black, white, gray, large and small, curly and straight. We looked at each dog in its cage, and each dog looked back. The sad way those dogs looked at us made me want to cry. Mom asked, "Which one?" "All of them," I said. 24 dogs, Dad said. "Okay, let's take the saddest one." But which one was the saddest? It was really hard to tell. This one? That one? "I know how to choose," I said. "Which dog has been here the longest?" I asked the shelter woman. She pointed at a brown and white dog. Where the other dogs had tails, this one had a stump. "He was a stray," the woman said. "Someone found him and brought him in. No one knows his real name. Norman is what we call him." "Norman's the one I want," I said. Norman wagged his tail when we opened the cage. He wagged when we left the shelter. First his stump twitched, then his whole rump swung from side to side. His wag was a hula dance of happiness. At home, I tried to teach Norman to do dog things. "Norman, sit," I told him. "Norman, come." "Norman, speak." "Norman," I called. Norman didn't understand a word we said. Whenever we spoke, he tilted his head and stared. Or maybe he kept forgetting his name was Norman. Or maybe nobody trained him properly. But after a few days with Norman, we knew the truth. He just wasn't very smart. We loved Norman anyway. "He's so funny," Mom said. "And he's so friendly," Dad said. I said, "I don't care if he's very smart." What I loved best about Norman was his funny, brown hula stump wiggle wag dance. He would meet us at the door and wag all around us. Whether we were gone 3 minutes or 3 hours, it didn't matter. Norman danced. One day, a new dog came to the dog park, a black one. Norman did his funny brown hula stump wiggle wag dance for him, and then Norman and the black dog chased each other until the owner of the black dog called out. The black dog ran straight over to the man, and so did Norman. The black dog sat, and so did Norman. The black dog held out a paw to shake, and so did Norman. The owner gave his dog a treat, and he gave one to Norman as well. We went over to the man. He was talking to both dogs, and both dogs were listening. We didn't understand a word he said. And then he turned to us and asked, "Is this your dog?" "Yes," we said. He laughed. Your dog understands Chinese. Did you know that? Norman, why didn't you say so? The following Saturday morning, we signed up for Chinese lessons in the basement of a church. We should bring Norman, I said. We can't bring Norman, Mom said. Dogs aren't allowed in churches, Dad said. The teacher's name was Mrs. Wang. She wouldn't say a word in English. 你好, she said. 你好, all the other kids in the class called back. 我是王老师, Mrs. Wang said, and she pointed to each student. 我是 Emily, said Emily. 我是 Morris, said another. Mrs. Wang pointed at my dad. He scratched his head and smiled. I don't understand a word you're saying, he said. When class was over, we lined up at the door. All the kids filed out saying, 谢谢老师, 谢谢老师, to Mrs. Wang. But when I said, 谢谢老鼠, everybody laughed. Mrs. Wang said, you just called me a mouse. All the way home, I practiced Chinese in my head so I could speak to Norman. 很好. 坐下. 我们爱你, Norman. 狗来. We came in the door and Norman did his happy hula wag for us. His stump wiggled, his rump swayed. I let him lick my face. By then, every Chinese word was gone. Norman, I said, you must be really smart. We didn't feel very smart the next Saturday morning in the basement of the church, or the Saturday after that. All the other kids were smarter. We tried to learn to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was as far as we got. We're not very smart, I said. Mom gave me a pat. But we're friendly, she said. And we're funny, Dad said. He threw a paper airplane. It landed on Mrs. Wang's desk. All the kids laughed. Chinese is too hard, he said. I quit. You can't, I said. What about Norman? Mrs. Wang, I said, we have a dog. 狗, dog, she said. Well, we have a 狗, I said. His name is Norman, and he only understands Chinese. He doesn't care that we can't speak it. He loves us anyway. But I'm going to try really hard to learn it. Not me, Dad said. I'm not smart enough. Mrs. Wang said something in Chinese to Dad and shook her finger at him. Then she smiled. More effort, she said. Fewer jokes. I said, Mrs. Wang, could you teach us some words so we can all talk to Norman? Now I can count in Chinese. I know all the days of the week. And at the dog park, we call 狗来, and Norman comes. We say 坐下, and Norman sits. He does it every time. And then we say 很好, Norman, and pat his head because he's a good dog. And we say 我们爱你, Norman, because we do. We love Norman very much. What language does your dog speak? People ask us. Chinese, we say. Chinese? But it's so difficult to learn. What a smart dog. He is, we say, but that's not why we love him. Alright, Panda Cubs, that was our story for this week. Norman, speak. I have another mini announcement. I will be going back to my school this week, and I'll be there for the rest of this month. So I'm going back to Cambridge in England to officially graduate. So while I'm there, I won't be filming story time, and I'll be taking a little bit of a break. So I'll be back reading new stories in December. 好，下个月见. See you next month. Bye.